Hi, Jen here from Jen Michelle Coaching, and today I want to talk about stop the strategy and reconnect to you. For those of you new to my channel, I would love to invite you to subscribe. I release a video each week. This is a conversation that comes up in my work with women a lot, right? What can I do? What can I say? What can I do to get this, to make this happen? And this will leave us completely exhausted and depleted because we are trying to figure out from the mind who we need to be to get love. And it may not even be authentic to who we are, but because we're in survival and fear, we're just trying to get our needs met, and love becomes a means to an end versus an expansive, beautiful practice in our lives that we're embracing minute by minute, day by day. So let's dive into 3 points on this. When you're creating from strategy and manipulation, you're not creating anything real, right? The person isn't able to connect or feel the real you because you, instead of embracing who you are trying to figure out who they want you to be. And so you're blocking your natural self from being felt, right? So instead of focusing on you, you're focusing on, oh, what might they like? What would he want to hear from this? What may turn him on? What may keep him interested? And this is, again, kind of like a codependent mindset where we learned very early on who we need to be for other people to get love, to be safe. And we're starting to step into breaking this down. And instead, we're starting to say, what feels authentic and real right now? What's my truth? Can I risk making the bad joke? Can I risk being honest or vulnerable or sharing something that I'm ashamed of, right? I dealt with that a lot growing up where my peers had certain things and certain sort of households that I didn't. And so I glossed over all of that for many years of my life. But I remember when I met my husband, it was when I really first started learning how to tell the truth. And I told him the truth of who I am and where I came from. And so I know that he knows the real me. And even though I hadn't done a ton of healing work at that time in my life, that was something we've been able to build upon. But the awareness and spark was there to not hide who I was and where I came from. And even the craziness and some of the dysfunction in my childhood, it was like, okay, I'm going to not pretend that wasn't there. I'm going to step into that and let him see the real me. Number 2, when we use strategy and manipulation, we're just pacifying his ego. We're basically saying, I don't trust you to feel and work through difficult emotions, so I'm going to control you. I'm going to control your perception of me because I don't trust that you're a grown man that can move through anything hard. And it's really a disservice to our men and stunts their growth big time, right? And trust me, I have been in this space myself, but I have found the most healing aspect of my relationship within my own union is how much we've both grown by not being afraid to tell the truth and not being afraid to challenge each other's ego and what we've hidden behind. My husband may not like when I will call out certain things or bring attention to certain things and vice versa, but it has helped us heal and come together because we do it from a space of love and kind of calling each other out on our limitations and where we have blind spots. And within that, more intimacy and more growth has occurred and a real sense of trust and safety because I know I'm loved for the real me, not the version I made up to get something. And that is what allows us to really relax in our feminine energy and to be the most authentic and true version of ourselves and to feel free in our self-expression and just to, feel like we can walk in this world as we are without having to make constant adjustments and edits for other people's comfort levels and preferences. Number 3, there's just an inherent sense of distrust and a lack of surrender when we're using manipulation and strategy, right? So when we take these baby steps to lean into where we hold resistance, this is the practice of opening our hearts and letting go of control mechanisms. And so sometimes it can just be like that one moment where you see the clear fork in the road, you see that clear choice. I can tell him the prettier version or I can tell him the truth. which way am I going to go? Or even let's say you don't catch it in the moment and it's like, okay, is that something that feels unclean within my system? Do I need to circle back on that and face this resistance? I had a yoga teacher that used to always say to me, the only way out is through, which means, of course, we're moving to face what's hard. We're pushing up against that resistance and we're moving through it, not going the opposite direction. So if you think about this point in those terms, the only way out is through, that means that we clean up our messes. We apologize where we weren't real or we weren't truthful or we weren't authentic, or we see that choice in the moment and we say, yeah, I feel like this and it's a little hard to share that, but we start to move towards what scares us. And even in my marriage, I have shared moments with my husband where, you know what, I was trying to get something from you in that moment, and that was not clean. Like, that's not totally clean. So I actually need to back up and take some time to myself and circle back on this later, because I am taking action from a space of survival and I can feel it in my system most of the time. And that's my cue to back off, center myself, figure out where it's coming from, and then bring the desire to him from a grounded, steady, and more just more reflective space, right? And we're not going to be perfect with this, but it really becomes a question of, what are we feeding? Are we letting survival mode take over and trying to just morph and pretzel ourselves into who we think we need to be to get love? Or are we trusting and surrendering to the process of love, knowing that we can't miss what's meant to be ours when we're tapped into our authenticity in this way? So this becomes a beautiful, beautiful life practice, and it is a protective practice too, because when we are telling the truth, what's meant for us can find us, but when we are hiding it, that can't come in clearly. And so can we see that sort of zoomed out version of this? I would love to hear how this video supports you. If you would like just support in sinking into your feminine energy and trusting the authenticity of who you are, I have linked my meditation series below. It can be really helpful just to settle the mind and start to build self-trust. So please check that out, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Please share any comments below. They are always so welcomed, and I love to have that back and forth with you all. Much love.